So why come here today and protest the police convention?
Yeah, so we just want to denounce social work involvement with policing. It doesn't make any sense for our professional values of social justice to work with systems that attack our communities and
that perpetuate social injustice.
Right, and that keep our communities poor and unhoused and without health care. So we're here to make sure that folks know that social workers are not social control and to fight back against that.
People talk about defunding the police and bringing in social workers to do some of the stuff that police do, so police don't have to go and do it. So, in sort of, the containment of what the ethics are for social workers, how would you recommend that they do that?
I think
it's dependent on the community, honestly. Social workers need to be working with the communities, and in our communities, a lot of social workers are a part of the marginalized communities that we're also working with. So we need to be working with our communities to creating transformational justice on a local level. So it's going to look different wherever we go, but the police should not be involved. They were slave catchers in the South, and they were union busters in the North, and that's where they are born from. And pairing them with social workers is not going to change that history.
Right.
Somebody said here about making a different agency. What would that look like? Is that something you'd even recommend?
Yeah, so you can make crisis response teams that are completely independent of the police.
Mm-hmm. And Cahoots in Eugene, Oregon is the closest thing that I know of that's to that. They do divert some of their calls to the police, but they don't go out actively with the police. They kind of operate on their own entity, and in the 30 years that they've operated, they've not had a single death.
Now, are they a governmental entity or are they independent?
I believe that they're, I don't want to speak to that. I'm not sure on the answers to that, but they're out of Eugene, Oregon.
Yep.
So people can look it up if they're curious.
A lot of
Cahoots is the name of it, the acronym.
A lot of your problem is that the police are hiring social workers, and then the social workers are kind of on the police payroll and doing police work.
Exactly. The social workers are really at front for police violence. We were just talking with a gentleman today who's unhoused here in town. He's been unhoused for years, and he's been trying to get a government ID. And he talked to some of the police social workers here locally for literally the last couple of years, and they have not given him an ID that he needs to be able to be eligible for subsidized housing.
Or a lot of other government programs.
Exactly. And so really it's just a front for the cops to say that, we're here to help and we're here to solve these problems, but really we're not actually tackling the cause.
I think we feel maybe that putting social workers in front of police is trying to put a veneer on police, trying to put rainbows on top of the police and build relationships with communities when that's only a conduit for further harm.
Right.
And what are some of the reasons you don't want police doing this kind of work?
Because they don't know how to respond to it. They're not trained to respond to it. And again, their history, just where the police come from, there's no reckoning with that. Or abolish the police. They're end punitive justice. We need transformational justice.
And is there anything else you want to say about what you're doing today that maybe I didn't ask about?
Social work has a legacy of coercion and upholding systems of white supremacy. And as social work students, it's our job to determine where the profession is going to go in the future and to lay that groundwork for the vision that we have for our future.
And for this profession.
Exactly. And so we want to end that legacy, and we want to make sure that we're standing in solidarity with communities that have been marginalized by the police. And to do that, we can't work with cops. We have to be diametrically opposed to them.
All right.